My name is Mark Dixon, the first Vice President of our beloved NAACP chapter here in Middletown. I would like to welcome you all to this year's Freedom Fund and Louis F. Cox Scholarship Gala. I have the honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Anidra Million, a native of Middletown, Ohio. She's a graduate of Middletown High School, where she graduated with honors. She went on to study education at Miami University, where she earned a bachelor's, master's, and completed the doctoral program, finishing her dissertation at Oakland City University with a 4.0 GPA. She has been involved in pageantry as a contestant, pageant mom, and pageant coach for more than 20 years, from time spent helping her daughters to prepare for local, state, national, and international titles, as well as herself. She has held several titles, including first runner-up at Miss Ohio America and winning Miss Ohio United States, representing the state of Ohio at nationals in Las Vegas. She is the first Black national Mrs. Captivating to be crowned. She is the current Mrs. Cincinnati and will vie for the title of Mrs. Ohio America in June, with hopes of going on to represent the state of Ohio in Las Vegas at the prestigious Miss America pageant. So we're gonna go ahead on and claim that for her right now, right? Dr. Miriam is a proud wife and proud mother of 5 children, as well as thousands of children whose lives she has been able to touch through teaching, spanning almost 3 decades, all in the Middletown City School District. She is also a member of United Missionary Baptist Church. I messed that up. All right. Outside of education, she was also a caregiver for 17 years to family members. She has presented research at Harvard University, as well as served on a panel at Harvard on the psychological science of racism. She has received professional development training from both Harvard University and Miami University in social justice training. She is a Harvard University and Miami University alumni of color. She has also received professional development training from Stanford University in collaboration teaching. The basic of working together, race and equality, Teacher of the Quarter and Teacher of the Month, as well as recognized as an outstanding leader by her home school district. Dr. Anidra Million has been recognized by the White House for service and leadership. She has also received the Pearls of Promise Award. She has been awarded the Women on the Move Award and founded a Girls Leadership Academy, the Inner You organization, and the Our Million Reasons Advocacy, ooh, Lord help me, organization. Dr. Anidra Million hopes to be an inspiration to all young girls and boys, teaching them that it is not where you start or how long you take, but that you finish. Would you all join me in welcoming Dr. Anidra Million.
Reading that bio made me sound like I'm somebody, but let's give it up for God. We can do better than that. Let's give it up for God. None of those awards, accolades, or any of those accomplishments would have been possible without God and God Almighty all by himself. I'm not even supposed to be standing here right now because when I think about my beginning, ooh, somebody needs to testify. That would be me, because both of my parents were addicted to drugs. Both of my parents were told that they wouldn't have a child that would accomplish anything in life. Well, guess what? Guess what? There is a God, and I am here to tell you all that dreams can come true if you just believe. And I'm looking at all these young people, and I'd just like to tell you congratulations and all of our community members who have contributed to our community, congratulations, and this is where the change happens right now. And we're looking at our program, and it says right here, be engaged and be courageous. Be engaged and be courageous. And to me, that means that when you see a need, fill the gap. When you see an opportunity to help someone else, reach out. When you see someone in need, call them up. So be engaged and be courageous. And this evening is going to be a night of celebration. And I'm going to introduce Calvin. He's going to come up. And I don't think he really needs any introduction because I had him in the Key program when he was a little boy. He showed me at a very young age that he had the gift of gab and that he And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Calvin Davis.
How y'all doing? Can y'all hear me good? All right. First and foremost, I want to thank each and every person for being here today. None of this is possible without their support, without their attendance, without your hard work and effort. I'm here to introduce our Louis F. Cox Scholarship winners. And so I am a 2010 recipient of the scholarship. I know, a long time ago. But the Louis F. Cox Scholarship really was instrumental in me attending my university. Without that financial assistance, without that financial gift, I'm not 100% sure if college and master's degree would have been feasible for me financially. And so being able to attend my university, in part due to that Louis F. Cox Scholarship, was a foundational moment for me. Allowed me to go get my bachelor's, which has led me to getting my master's and my MBA from my university, which led to all of the accomplishments that, God has allowed me to have in my life so far. So this isn't about me. I've been there, done that, graduated, got the degree through. We're talking about the future. Amen? Amen. And so I want to give a quick shout out to both of our Louis F. Cox Scholarship recipients. First, please give it up for Elijah Calhoun. Elijah Calhoun will graduate from Middletown High School and will be attending Bowling Green State University and majoring in interior design. Asked about the Louis F. Cox Scholarship, she stated, ever since I was a little girl, interior design has always been great. I was a little girl who asked my parents to turn on HGTV instead of Disney Channel. The one who played house design simulation games instead of dress up. I love moving my room around every month just for the joy of something new. I always get my room organized and clean as I work the entire cycle. My love for interior design is endless, and I'm excited to take this next step into my dream career. Please give it up one more time for Elijah Calhoun. The other Louis F. Cox Scholarship winners, Olivia Darmani. Did I get that last name right there? Darmani. I believe in pronouncing people's name right, amen? Olivia Darmani from Springboro High School. Olivia will be attending the Ohio State University and majoring in business administration, and she has shared with me that she'll be going in as an international business student. When asked about the Louis F. Cox Scholarship and what she's pursuing as her major, she stated, I chose to pursue a degree in business administration because in the future I intend to work as a corporate leader within the nonprofit sector. Working in leadership at a nonprofit organization will allow me to follow my lifelong path of service and giving back to my community, as well as providing. There we go. Give the scholarship recipients their respect, okay? Working in leadership in a nonprofit organization will allow me to follow my lifelong passion for service and giving back to my community, as well as provide me the opportunity to utilize my leadership, problem solving, and public speaking abilities. So please give it up one more time for Olivia Darmani. as we move things right along this evening, you know, we want to make sure you guys get enough time to eat the dinner that we provided, because we're not taking it home, all right? So, as we do that, I want to make sure, you know, did we bless the food?
Yes.
Okay. You know, we can't be eating by blessing food. So as we give you some time to eat and continue to talk and mingle and give the honorees their time, the next voice you will hear is a woman very special to me. My mother. It'll be actually, so the next voice you hear will be our MC, who will lead on the rest of the program. So please take your time, eat, grab a bite, and we appreciate you coming.
She has been faithful to supporting the community. this month, so they're not here today. But we thank them for their support. Again, the Adams family, all of them. We thank Cullen USA. He has been faithful, Ken has, whether he's been in Florida or been our neighbor, that when we call for something in the community, he is ready to say, I got you, I can support it. And that's not something that everyone can do or will do. Many people can, but the question is, do they? So we thank Emory Federal Credit Union, who will also provide banking services for anyone. All you have to do is show your NAACP card. We thank Premier Health for the sponsorship. Sometimes civil rights is not the prominent, favorable, exciting cause of the year. We talked about the war on childhood poverty, but children don't work. So how did they get in poverty? But it's easier to support childhood poverty than to talk about the root. Discrimination, a lack of education, a lack of employment opportunity, unstable housing, and just a lack of awareness of where the resources are and support to say, I will walk with you through this process. So we thank People's Bank, we thank Jazz Alive, we thank some of the other individuals. We could not have put this program together without Yolanda Hart. She has always been faithful. We thank Eugenia Gregory, who is always there. Now she's going to be disappointed if you all don't come and make some bids on the side of the house. Devin Brown for the graphics. We thank the banquet committee. My cousin Teresa Fuller for helping with the veggies, the veggie trays, and the cake, start printing, and the big girls, the Mac girls have been playing. Didn't they do an excellent job? Yes. They did an excellent job with the venue. It didn't look like this yesterday, though. I see a microphone. That means I can stop talking. But again, thank you. God bless you. We have some more to do. So without further ado, the speaker of the hour. But before that, we'll have Mrs. Cincinnati come and introduce him. And don't forget, my little red wagon is back there. It's open for a silent auction bid.
Porter Spiller is a Hall of Fame broadcast journalist with a career that spanned nearly 44 years. Most of that time, 35 years, has been spent as a news anchor for the Cincinnati NBC affiliate WLWT-TV. He has received countless awards for his excellence in journalism and his tireless community service, including multiple Emmy Awards. He is one of the first journalists inducted into the Central Florida Association of Black Journalists and Broadcasters Hall of Fame. He has been recognized by the Ohio Society of Professional Journalists, the Cincinnati Society of Professional Journalists, the Associated Press, United Press International, the Orlando Press Club, and the Cleveland Press Club. In 2021, Hamilton County named a day in his honor. In 2022, Cincinnati City Council passed a resolution recognizing his broadcasting career and contributions to the city. Also, in 2022, he received the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Award and distinguished glorifying the Lion Award from the Urban League. The YMCA presented him with a Legend Award, and he was named one of Cincinnati's Men of Honor. In 2023, he was inducted into the inaugural class of the WLWT Hall of Fame. He is a multi-Emmy Award winner and a 2021 inductee in the prestigious Ohio Valley chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, Silver Circle, an honor for television professionals who have made lasting contributions to the industry and the community for 25 or more years. He is currently an advisory board member for the Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation and an honorary member of the Cincinnati Opera Board. His previous community service positions include the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra Board, the Greater Cincinnati Tall Stacks Commission, the U.S. Department of Education's Back to School National Advisory Board, and the Executive Board of the National Association of Black Journalists. Woo. Mr. Fuller is always looking for ways to serve his community. In 2010, a scholarship was established in his name to help young, aspiring journalists achieve their dream. He believes journalism is a mirror that society holds up to itself. I strive to make sure there are diverse perspectives to the voices heard and the images seen in the media. Journalists must be change agents and truth seekers through their reporting and community connectedness, because everyone has a story. One of the scriptures that he lives by, let your light so shine that others may see your good works and glorify your Father who was in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Without further ado, let me introduce Curtis Fuller.
Wow, that's very humbling. And I gave her the short version. No, that is very, very humbling. You know, you sit there and you hear those accolades, but in my mind, I'm saying to myself, I'm nothing without God. That's what I sat there and said, because you know, it's all nice, all the awards are nice, but I didn't do any of that by myself. God knew that I would be here in Cincinnati long before I knew I would be in the Cincinnati area, I should say. And so this isn't how I expected to start my talk, but I am humbled when I hear those awards. I know I did a lot of work to maybe acquire some of them, but it is truly humbling. Thank you, Doctor, for that warm introduction. Very nice introduction. You know, you always tell people to keep it short, but they read long things about you once you're dead and gone. So I don't mind hearing the roses and smelling the roses now. So thank you. I appreciate that. It is a pleasure to be here in Middletown. Can everyone hear me, first of all? Yeah, that's good. I have a loud mouth and a loud voice, but I was trying to figure out how I was going to navigate getting my voice from here to the back of the room. So thank you for whoever made this possible to get this microphone here. That's the pastor in the back of the room. Oh, okay. That's great. Give the pastor a big round of applause. First of all, I should say it is an honor to celebrate the oldest civil rights organization, the NAACP, anytime. And to really congratulate the work of the local branch here in Middletown. You're doing great things. As you know, for 115 years, this organization has been for fairness and justice in this nation. Let me add, before I go on, congratulations to all of our honorees tonight. Give them a big round of applause again, if you don't mind. While while it was brief, I did get a chance to meet our two 2024 scholars, Melage Calhoun from Middletown High School, and Olivia Darmody from Springboro High School. Why don't you stand up again so they can see you? Stand up again so they can see you. You told me you're going to OSU, and I didn't get a chance to ask you, what? Bowling Green, wonderful. And you're going to do what? What are you going to study? Interior design and international business. My goodness. Well, congratulations again. Congratulations again. It's always good. We want them to do great things. They stand on the shoulders of all of you here, and they stand on the shoulders of Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ella Baker, Rosa Parks, Ida B. Wells. They stand on the shoulders of Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, Mary McLeod Bethune, Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, Fannie Lou Hamer, Benjamin Mays, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Vernon Jarrett, Mel Good, Roy Wilkins, Carter G. Woodson, Fred Shuttlesworth. They stand on the shoulders of Medgar, Malcolm, and Martin. All of those individuals and so many more dreamed of this hour in our journey. You know, history teaches us that those who came before us fought and struggled and sacrificed. They understood there's always a rainbow after the storm. Because we will see the storms. We're seeing some storms right now in this nation and this world. How did things get turned upside down the way they are? But they understood that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
That's right.
They also understood God allows difficulties to develop our faith and turn any tragedy into a testimony, a misery into a ministry. As I said, this is truly a critical moment in our history. As a journalist for nearly a half century, even when I say that, it's hard to believe. Nearly a half century I've been doing this. I have witnessed and chronicled the changing times that we lived in. I was working the night that John Lennon was assassinated. I was working the day that the space shuttle exploded in the air. Working the day that President Reagan was shot. And the list goes on and on and on. And so I've had the opportunity to see a lot of things in a nearly half-century career. And in 2024, let me tell you that we cannot take the tranquilizing drug and be lulled into some kind of deep sleep. We cannot do that. This is a year of voting. I would ask all of you who are registered to vote to stand, but I won't do that because I know all of you are registered to vote. And if you are not registered to vote, this isn't a time to embarrass or be embarrassed. You can go out and register tomorrow. But it is important, it is necessary that you vote. My friend Fred Shuttlesworth, the late Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, what an amazing person in our history. Reverend Shuttlesworth would always say, now I can't tell you who to vote for, but I surely can tell you who not to vote for. I won't do that tonight because you might turn the channel tomorrow. But some things are very obvious. I'm just amazed at how we are so confused. I don't know how we've gotten so confused in this country, not knowing what's right, wrong, up and down. It's troubling to me. But we don't have the luxury of being spectators in the year 2024. We have to take a good look at ourselves and the structures we have created. The society in which we live represents a mirror, not of who we want to be, but who we are. We need to take a good look at ourselves. I always like to just examine where we are, because as much as we think we have moved forward, when you examine where we are, we've been just moving almost in quicksand. Just consider, we've become a nation where we've multiplied our possessions, but reduced our values. We've learned how to make a living, but not a life. We've added years to life, but not life to years. And in many ways, we've done bigger things over the years, but not necessarily better things. We keep trying to clean up the air, but how is it that we continue to pollute our neighborhoods and our souls? The NAACP is needed now more than maybe ever before. We must take action to change the inequalities in this country and really throughout the world. Let me share with you an article that I once read. It talked about the NAACP, not only looking back at its history, but considering what might be in the future. This article said, imagine the year 2109. 2109, when the NAACP is celebrating its bicentennial. Its leaders, the organization, are really starting to look in 2109 at how it became the sole force to change America's institutions. Imagine in 2109, history recording that NAACP leaders heard the call and helped to elect a Congress that improved banking laws, rid the criminal justice system of policies that were discriminatory, and supported NAACP lawsuits that shut down failing school districts. Imagine that in 2109. As we look forward from this moment, we cannot allow silence to be our greatest weapon. Because a piece of freedom is not enough. The NAACP has always been a multiracial organization. Sometimes people get the story wrong. It has always been an organization that has reached out into various communities because the end result is fairness and equality and justice. And that affects everyone. Not just black people, it affects everyone. And so this organization has been blessed with many people who have the talent, determination, and fortitude to see the mission through. The call is the same for the next generation who must continue to push for democracy for all citizens. When I say that, I am reminded of the words of former President Barack Obama, who said, responsibility is an important element to democracy. But he also reminded us of this. He said, we must demand more responsibility from Washington and corporate America, but we must also demand more from ourselves. We have a story of hope, faith, inspiration, and emancipation. There was a time when we didn't look to the White House or the State House to impact change in the neighborhood, in our communities. You know what? We look to your house and your house and my house. And we worked together. We demanded things from Washington and in the state of Ohio, Columbus, but we also looked to our churches, our community organizations. The one thing I must tell you, I am happy that you are having this event right here. Now, I don't know the history of this art center, but I'm fascinated by it. I walked in and the reason I say that is because so often we have events like this in fancy hotels, spend a lot of money at these fancy hotels, and that's nice. But you know what? You look just as good here
That's right.
as you do at any fancy hotel. When I was on the board of the National Association of Black Journalists, I know they would get upset with it because 4,000 journalists from across the country would converge on a city, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, various cities, and we would spend thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in that city. And sometimes, when you compare how much we were dropping into the neighborhood versus how much we were dropping into downtown, it was night and day. And so, moving on up doesn't mean that you're doing it the right way. This is moving on up, what you're doing tonight, and I mean that sincerely. I mean that sincerely. I will tell you, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the changing times and voting, I think of my mother, who's been gone now for 20 years. It's hard to even say that. But here's a woman who was left with 3 children. My dad died when I was 6 months old, and I have an older brother and an older sister. And we grew up in the inner city of Pittsburgh, the Hill District as it was called, and still is called. A historic, if some of you are familiar with August Wilson, if you heard of the playwright August Wilson. August Wilson is from the Hill District of Pittsburgh. It was from the Hill District. I mean, I lived in walking distance to August Wilson. Some of you might be familiar with George Benson. Walking distance to George Benson. It was, I called it Little Harlem, because everything was in the Hill District. And it's interesting, as I'll go back in a couple of months for my 50th high school reunion. It's hard even saying that. 50 years, and how much has happened in 50 years. But I always say to people that even though it was the inner city of Pittsburgh, and we didn't have as much as some neighborhoods, I wouldn't trade places with anyone. Because growing up in the Hill, we had neighborhood, we had family. You could count on each other. Imagine now, me sleeping on my front porch in one of those swings. You remember those swings? I can't remember what they call them. Imagine that. Can you imagine sleeping on your porch today? You know, we laugh because if we don't laugh, we'd probably cry or scream. I mean, how did we reach a point where sitting on your porch, someone could just drive down the street, shooting a gun out of the car? You know, I read these stories every night, and I'm glad I'm on TV and I know that I can't say certain things. Because if I could say what I really wanted to say, they'd run me out of it. Because I get so frustrated at some of the stories that I have to read, especially when it involves young people. Young people, in many cases, younger than our 2 award winners. And that's why it's important to celebrate young people. Because if these two young ladies had thrown a brick through a window, we'd have their face on TV, every channel, front page of the newspaper. But their accomplishment here won't be known by anyone other than those of us in this room. So, do we blame the media? Not necessarily. Because we have the ability to beat the drum. We have the ability to tell our own stories. A lot of young people don't know the stories within their own families, the greatness in their own family. I like to, it's nice to talk about Jackie Robinson, but sometimes I like to talk about my own father. Yeah. Who worked hard, was the first black crane operator at a steel mill in western Pennsylvania. I talk about that. I talk about my mother who worked in unions and worked to get people to vote. So all of us have stories to tell. We don't have to look to celebrities and their story when we have stories right in our own home. And so I think that's our call going forward. Because young people just don't know their history. They just don't know their history. And we can't blame it on them. We have to point the finger at ourselves. So now is the time to remind ourselves again about that story of hope, faith, inspiration, and emancipation. A poet once wrote that nothing is more powerful in all the world than an idea whose time has come. Each of us has a footprint to leave, and you are now tasked with leaving your own imprint on your community, on your church, in your community, in your family. Spread the word. Beat the drum. God bless you. Have a good night.